Yes, so hi everyone. My name is Sagar Kakkala, and today we are here for MLOps session, and in which we will discuss about BentoML. And since this session would be uploaded in YouTube, I'll share screen since my YouTube is bit of a diversified content which has finance, travel, DevOps, and other stuff. So I'll just share screen to show how things work here. Sagar Kakkala's world. You just have to remember my name. Search for Sagar Kakkala in Google and you'll have my website, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And in YouTube, everything is separated by playlists. And this session, which we are having now, will be discussed, would be uploaded in AOps with MLOps playlist. I think yes, but just go for playlist AOps with MLOps with Sagar Kakkala English playlist. So I would recommend to watch in a consecutive order to have a better understanding. And in the same way, here in website, everything is separated by contents of blog. So you have DevOps, AOps, MLOps, which we are currently going on, and finance with just a minute. I think let me close these tabs. When we'll discuss about BentoML model here, which is actually a kind of tool which helps in deploying our ML model. And before we discuss about BentoML, if you remember in last session we discussed about a scenario in ML flow. Maybe I could just give a bit of overview. In ML flow, what we discussed is, let's say, consider we have a dairy farm, and in dairy farm, let's say you have three products, maybe milk, cheese, and curd. And what we actually do is, let's say in the last session, what we discussed is, let's say we are actually trying to up an ML model, try to figure out which ML model suits the best. And let's say a data scientist in the company takes care of this. And for that, he will be using the ML model which could predict last 3 years of data, let's say 2022, 2023, 24, 25, last 3 years of sales data. Using that sales data, if he could predict how much sales could happen in the next year, and spins, because it has lots of data, we will be using a machine learning model. And he has to use a different statistics for it. Let's say in last session we had used different statistics like linear regression, decision tree, and random forest. And what data scientist does is he plays with different models, different statistics model, and he finalizes one model that suits the best. Let's say he figured it out that linear regression suited the best for this model, and he'll go with linear regression, and the job of data scientist is done. He played with the model, he had turned up the model, and he had finalized that this linear regression should go in production. And now what we are going to do is we are going to use BentoML to deploy that. And since here BentoML, you could use it in integrating in API, LLM, or anything. Let's say you have a dashboard which could predict. Maybe we'll design dashboard here as well in the same project. You want to have a prediction data sales of Jan 2026 for milk, and using the data previously. So you could actually to make that happen using BentoML. And also whatever ML model is there, you could deploy it in LLM as well. So till here it's clear, right? A bit of overview of what we did on last session. Yes, no?
Yeah, clear, Sagar.
Okay. So before we go into BentoML, we'll understand with the Hello World project itself, which is in BentoML itself. So what I'm going to do is, let's say how ML model works here. Let me go for Visual Studio Code. You could use either Visual Studio Code or Jupyter Notebook, anything if is of your choice. I'm just going for Visual Studio Code. So just copy pasting command, there is git clone quick start, and it went into quick start. If I open, since I cloned now, quick start demo. As you could see, there is this file called service.py. This service.py file is the important file here, which has BentoML service. Here, the important part is this service calls the models. So here, like since it has like a default model, Hugging Face model is not a model like which we deployed. It's like a kind of collection of models it has. And in that, like Hugging Face, like we called Hugging Face model and with the tag of this. And what this model does is like summarize the text. Like whatever, like you gave a complete paragraph and it summarizes it. So that's the kind of work it does. Maybe let's go for terminal. Yeah. Just and like we are actually turning up virtual environment quick start and we are just activating it. Yeah, since as you could see, this quick start is already there and it created a new folder which is like virtual environment quick start. And since this is just a demo there, I'm just like not focusing on it too much there, but so I'm just installing BentoML and the required dependencies here. So this file is already there, service.py within the same folder. I just had to turn it on using like BentoML sir. Mm. Okay, let us just wait for it. Okay. So since like since service.py file is there, like BentoML sir actually searches for, oh sorry, not this. Searches for service.py file, and if it is not mentioned, just like how we run the Docker file commands, like it search for Docker file. Same way, this BentoML actually searches for service.py file. And if it is not there, you had to mention like which exact file the service is running. And before, like in previous versions, it used to be like at the rate service.api where you had to give like inputs and outputs and the kind of like things changed because now it is like bento, these are decorators like which had discussed in MCP session as well, bento ML service, and inside service we were calling API as well. And bento ML serve, and by default like this runs on port 3000. Yes, as you could see here we had like defined service called summarization. So yes. Where is this? Since it actually runs on port 3000 and you could see the summarization service. The service summarization initialized, and to use it you just had to go for localhost 3000 and you could see this is your API. And like BentoML, there is another advantage here with BentoML is it default gives you like comes with Swagger API. And here I'm just going to click on try it out. And here is the text. If you want, you could change the text. And I'm just giving the same text here. So when I click on execute, yeah, this is the curl command that it has run because it has taken this input. And here response body is your output. Here's the summary. Like whiskers are another way, something like it gave an output. What it does is, let's say, like if you want to go for, where is this? Yeah. And not just that, like with Swagger API, you could actually use this reply with like Python client as well, like import by BentoML and call that API. Like since it's running on localhost 3000 and like give your inputs and print result to get the expected output. This is Swagger API, which we just used. We will be using this Swagger API in the demo itself. And apart from that, you could use the curl command as well. Curl, it's just like this. You could directly use curl in your terminal and get the required output. Three ways you could get the output here. And this is like a BentoML where you could have your, let's say, like have a model and deploy the model as a service. And you could like have this till here it's clear, right? We just had these like an overview of like what BentoML does. It's just like it has models and like you could deploy your models and you could test your models using this BentoML APIs. Clear?
Yeah, clear, Sagar.
Okay. Now let me just like since it's a personal project, I'm just like deactivating it. Just like Control C. Since I'm in virtual environment, I'm just trying to deactivate it. Just remove the removing the virtual environment that it created. Yeah. And for this demo, as I said, like we'll take the last project itself, where let's say our data scientist has a finalized model of curd, cheese, milk, like using linear regression. He had selected like linear regression as a statistics method here. So he said it's final, and like he gave us this model. Let's say like which is where like we get from data scientist. He gave us this model, and now using BentoML, we had to deploy this model. And maybe like let's create a new folder for this. I'm just creating it. Okay, I'm just like opening that new folder. And here, okay, just training this model as model train.py. Mm, yeah, what this model actually does is, let's say, like we had like last 3 years of data. It generates a random data. We're actually generating a random data, like using year, month, and milk sales is something like 200 plus year into 40 plus month into 5. Same way we had like used like 150 here curd sales, and here like cheese sales 100 plus something and a random. And all we are doing is like saving it in a records. And the same thing, like since we define generate sales data here, since like using pandas, like we are completely using this as pandas. And same way we are having models like milk sales model. Whatever milk sales values are generated, we are storing that in milk sales model. Same way curd sales model, whatever the values are generated. And like for every model, like in linear regression, let's say like we are actually imposing, let's say for milk sales model, we're integrating milk sales, and the same way curd sales model, we're integrating curd sales data, and we are creating a model with that in a loop. And we are training years like 2023 to 2025. It's like a 3 years data. Let's say now, before we turn this model up, since we got this model up, like we'll create a virtual environment just like before. Okay. Yeah, this is the one like which you saw previously, kind of like same thing I'm implementing here. Okay. And then like we are actually installing dependencies, like we're installing BentoML, scikit-learn, like which is actually a statistics model. Like for that itself, we are importing linear regression model here. And here in pandas for the data framework and streamlit and requests, and these are for dashboards, like which we will be using later. But like we are installing it this in this step itself. You could skip this if you are not going for step 3, but if you are going for step 3, I would recommend like install this. Mm, let's say now. It's visible, right? Or should I like clear screen to make it visible? It's at bottom of the screen. Yeah. Since we have had like one file, model train.py, we'll just like train this model now. It's like we're creating our own model now. So this would create 3 models, like one for milk, one for curd, and one for cheese. That's like for our dairy farm here. Mhm. It's taking a bit of time to train the model. Okay, as you could see, it created three models: milk sales model, curd sales model, and cheese sales model. And to check the models, you could just go for BentoML models list, like whatever models are available in your local. As you could see, it actually created all these models and like with the tags, like each model is separated by tags. If I run this file again, like changing some values or using the same values, it will create another model with different tags. So because like yesterday I was like practicing, so that is where like it created old models. And if I want to like delete the model, I could just go for BentoML models delete and whatever BentoML models delete, and let's say I'll delete this, the old tag. Okay, so it's deleted, and now I want to check. As you could see, cheese model QN, like it's not there now. Sorry, curd sales model QN is not there now. So this way, like we had deployed our model, but now we had to call this model. And how would we call? Like we would be using service.py file, just like we did with the previous demo. And here is where like I'm actually calling, let's say, I'm actually creating a new file here. And here, like I'm importing, this is just a base model that I'm calling up. And here I'm actually calling the models, like what are models I'm calling BentoML, since like the model is actually turned up using scikit-learn. So I'm calling scikit-learn and load model, the three models that we call, like milk sales model, curd sales model, and cheese sales model. By default, it calls the latest tag. And if you want to call a particular model, all you could do is like colon and add that tag name here, whichever you saw. So in way, like we called three models we called, and like we are being using like API. And here to select the model, like whatever is the product input, and we are actually selecting that particular model. And let's say like if we selected product milk, and it will actually select milk sales model. Same way, like if you had selected curd, it will select curd sales model. And here we are giving inputs, like two inputs here, whatever month number is there. Like let's say like you had selected Jan, it by default like goes to one, and it actually selects like whatever Jan 1 is there based on the model, it get predicts it. And whatever like year and month. And these are the two inputs we are giving. And because like we are also giving like input data product as well, three inputs that we are giving here. What's the year, what's the month, and what's the product. Maybe let's just where's terminal here? It went off. Mm, mm, okay. Yeah. So here I'm actually turning the model on now. And to turn on the model, since it's a service file, I'm just giving BentoML service reload. Here serve, before we had given only serve, and now we're actually specifying whatever like service file is there. We're specifying model service.py to load. Why not? Okay, what's there here? Model underscore. Okay, sorry, I gave server. My bad. No bentos with name exist in BentoML store users. What is this? Oh, okay, I forgot to save, I guess. Yeah, it's loading the service file now. It's my bad that I forgot to save. Same way, it runs on localhost 3000, as you could see. Diary sales forecast. This is the one that I provided. as a service. And now since it's initialized, I could actually go for, yeah, since it goes for summarize, this is the previous one. As you could see, it is now coming with like post forecast. And now if I click on try it out, I'm just giving the input data here. Let's say I want to predict sales of 2026 Feb, and I want to get the data forecast sales of milk. Why is this not coming? Okay. As you could see, predicted sales are some 330. Same way if I give for like curd. Now it goes for curd sales model and 248. Same way, like this is how like we could actually test it out. And now let's create something like a front-end application or a dashboard for it to for us to make it use like since like we'll use it effectively, like where could like have an inputs and we could get an outputs as well. Yes, okay. This is not yes. So this is not mandatory. Like if you want, you could stop here. Here, like what we are doing is we'll be actually creating dashboard, and like this dashboard would actually call BentoML service API, the same API. Like this is the URL that it will call. Same way, localhost 3000. This is the URL it will call. Localhost 3000 forecast, and like with this URL, like we'll have these inputs and like we'll get the output as predicted sales. It is just a normal dashboard that we are using just to make our code a bit clean. So for that, like we'll be using Streamlit, a kind of like dashboard which is used as a library here. Let's go for, okay, where did it create it now? Why is it going for untitled too? Dashboard.py. Since I don't want to like disturb this, like because it's running, we'll just like open a new terminal. And like because we have it inside our virtual environment, we will be turning on like we'll activate our, what to say, Python virtual environment back again in the new terminal. Okay, sorry. Source not found. Okay, we are actually back in like virtual environment. We will be running this command. That's it, like streamlined I run dashboard.py, and this would be running on port 8502. Yes, it opened up by itself. So here is the like data I'm entering. Like if I want to like go for like March, milk, trade sale, you get this answer. Same way, localhost 8502, right? Okay. Mm. Wait, what is this? 8502, isn't it? 8501, sorry, it's now running on localhost 8501. Yeah, you could click on predict sales. Same way, milk, curd, cheese. Based on that, like you could like create this dashboard to forecast the sales. Like based on that, the company or the organization could take decisions based on the forecasting. Yes, clear, right?
Clear, sir.
Yes, I see. One second. Let me stop sharing. Yes. Someone put a message. Last session I didn't join, bro. Okay, fine. But I explained, right? Fine. I think like we're done with the session. If you guys could turn the cameras on, like we'll just conclude the session here.